Okay. Okay, I'm going to call to order this Board of Equalization special meeting for Friday, April 19th, 2024. It's 9:30 a.m. We have a full board complement. First, we'll have roll call. Mr. Town?
Present.
Ms. Sellers?
Present.
And Ms. Thompson. We have 35 items on the agenda. We'll start with item number 1, discussion and possible action regarding the minutes of our April 10th, April 12th, April 15th, and April 16th, 2024 meetings. Do I have a motion?
Move approval of the minutes as stated in item number 1.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Item 2 on the agenda is BOE number 317, address 24300 North Peebly Road in Luther. Account number R264043500. Okay, if my notes are accurate, the assessor is asking for a valuation setting of $268,923. Is that correct? You guys got that?
Yes.
And the property owner is asking for 1/2 acre and a house for $249,000. Is that correct?
And it's a 20-acre plot, so it's split between residential and agriculture.
Okay.
I think the contention is that the assessor's office has put too much residential on this because of the inclusion of the road as they're defining that as part of the drive. I've looked at this a couple of different ways. I don't think the road can be exclusively residential, nor can it exclusively be agriculture. So I'm sort of splitting the baby on this, and I'd like to recommend that we consider, our job is to set a valuation, and per last year when we had a case come up, we can also set the type, whether it's residential, commercial, or agriculture. So I think, having been told that, we can also set the percentages of either on a property as well. So I would like to move that we set the valuation of this property at $260,000 and set the distribution of the 20 acres at 18.5 acres of agriculture and 1.5 of residential. That takes into account the mutual use of the road for both designations.
Okay, 260. What was the rest?
$260,000
even,
and 18.5 acres of ag and 1.5 acres of residential.
I'm good with that.
Okay. You did make a motion?
Yes.
All right. Do I get a second?
Oh, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so BOE 317 is set at 260,000. 1.5 acres, residential 18.5, agriculture. Item 2 on the agenda, BOE number 318, 8513 Northwest 127th, R207201-310. The assessor had a median of 487,989 and a mean of 478,711. Is requesting a valuation setting. For you, was it
469.
469? That's right. I didn't highlight that one. And the landowner is asking for 363,333. Is this the metal house?
No, this was the one that had the storm damage. I had $415,048.
Yeah, that's what they were asking.
They had an original ask of $363,331.
And the second ask was 400. That's right, 415,438.
Oh, 48.
415,048. Okay, this is the one with the roof.
He had the storm damage and he's got other issues with his house.
Okay. He never definitively answered, and Teresa asked several times, did you get the roof replaced?
No, he did.
He did
He said that
He
he
did get the roof replaced?
But he didn't have a lot of the other items replaced.
Yeah, the hail
Okay.
damage, the pool. some of the
Yeah, and I don't know how the
damage to
pool could
structure.
be indicative of
Yeah,
the storm damage.
yeah, I looked at the pictures and I kind of had to agree with the assessor's office that it looked incidental to be. Yeah, he'd have to disclose if they could see it, but to me, it didn't look that terrible. He also had brought his own, or he disputed the assessor's comps. Because the assessor had 3 comps. The first one he disputed because the
Family member.
agent was the daughter of the seller, which
Right.
to me would kind of work more in their favor and not necessarily in the buyers through the value of the purchase. And so I'm not sure that that was a good argument. And the pond argument on the second one, the fact that it was valued a little higher because it had a pond view, although it wasn't really part of their
Right.
property. And then the third one was a newer property, which the third one really would have worked more in his favor. So I kind of.
And there was a
sprayed it.
corner lot argument.
Yeah. Yeah, the corner lot was part of that comp one.
Okay.
But I don't know that I really agreed with any of those arguments either. I thought because the assessor made adjustments, seemed to make fair adjustments. Also, he did say that he got the roof fixed, and of that $57,000 insurance quote that he had, 36,000 of it, almost 37,000 of it was for the roof. Another 4,500 of it was for gutters, which probably got fixed when the roof got fixed. So I'm not sure that I agreed with that lowering based on that $57,000 quote that he had.
Well, the assessor is $18,000 below the median on his ask of
Yeah.
$469. So I didn't have a problem with the ask. What'd you come up with, Brett?
Last year's valuation was at $439,000.
Mhm.
If this property was just increased by the county average, just for comparison, it'd be $468,808. So the valuation seems to be in line with the county average and with comps in the area.
Yeah, I think the only question is whether or not the damage warranted lowering it because the hailstorm happened in April of 2023.
Right.
But was it fixed by the end of the year? So if it was.
I don't think he said when he fixed it, but he did say that he fixed it.
Okay. Well, I'll entertain a motion for either 469 or 468, whatever you said was the appreciation over the 439. Which one do you want to go with, Brett?
Well, I'm pretty comfortable with the assessor's valuation, even if we wanted to deduct the amount of damages that have not been taken care of at this point, even though they're superficial, which would be like minus $4,500 again.
Okay. What did you come up with, Teresa?
Or did you do the math on that 45?
I did. I
For
took
supervision.
your word for it.
You just subtracted the what I had for the gutters and the
Yes.
roof estimate.
It's
Yeah, well, I guess what concerns me is that we all know these insurance quotes are usually bloated. Quite frankly, so that scares me. I wouldn't mind reducing it by a couple of thousand, but probably not much more than that. Maybe go to 467.
Okay. I could.
Even?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion for valuation setting on BOE 318 at $467,000.
I'll make a motion on BOE 318, item number 3 on the agenda to set the fair market value at $467,000.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is BOE 178. 4900 Jeffrey Drive, R153303000. The assessor is at 320,500, and the property owner is at 310,000.
So on this one, it had an August of 2022 comp on there that seemed to be driving up the assessors. There was only two comps to begin with.
Right.
Yeah. And last year's value was pretty low, but it looks like it was a freeze from the previous year from 2022, so it probably should have had another increase, but it's still quite a bit off.
Yeah, 188,500.
Yeah, and as much as I don't like using just one good comp, there was one good comp in May of 2023 at almost 318,000. So I don't have a problem with going to 318,000 based off that one comp.
It was 317,929. Yeah.
I can go along with that. I think what happened was in 23, it was 188.5. They'd been frozen, and then the cap came off.
Right.
So it brought it up. So on item number 3, I moved to set the fair market value of this property at $318,000.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Let's see. 170. That was item 4. Okay, so item 5 on the agenda is BOE 179. The assessor is at 159,000. The property owner is at 138,500, which is what it was last year, and the year before 124,500.
I feel like the assessor's valuation was spot on this. The comps were good. The taxpayer even used the comps of the assessor instead of its own. So I felt like it was spot on.
Yeah, the other thing that was questionable on this one to me was the valuation over 2023, because it was valued at 138.5 in 2023, and the adjusted value with the 6.7 is 148, comes to 148. But I agree. I think the comps were good, and I think the assessor was being generous with the 159 based off of the average of the 3 comps. So I'm good with 159,000.
I'd like to move on agenda item number 4, BOE 179, that we set the fair market value of this property at $159,000.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Item 6 on the agenda is BOE number 181. The assessor is at 178,500, and the property owner is at 173,000. The median was 179.2. The mean was 179.8. This is at Kelly and Danforth. Is this an older part of Emmons?
Kelly and Danforth. Yes, this is an older neighborhood.
Okay.
So southeast of the intersection.
Okay. Ruth, where'd you have, Teresa?
I thought the assessor's valuation was fair, even though he only had 3 comps. He disagreed with the land value. I didn't agree. I think the comps support the 178.5 as well as the increase over the 2023 value. So I'm good with the 178.5 that the assessor recommended.
I concur.
So I'll make a motion on BOE 181, item number 6 on the agenda to set the fair market value at 178,500.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The next item is item number 7, BOE 183, with number 183094100. This is at 33rd and Bryant. We had 823 comps. So the assessor is at 363,000 even, and the property owner is at $342,500. This is one where he used comps 1, 3, and 4.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the fence on this one. The valuation over last year supports the assessor's valuation more than supports it. So it's $372,000 is what it would go up to, based off the evaluation last year. But 3 of the assessor's comps were considerably smaller. I'm sorry, yeah, smaller than the subject property, like 500 or more in some cases. So that's the only thing that really kind of gives me pause. The taxpayer used comps 1, 3, and 4, which supports what he's asking of 342.5. I ran it again using 1, 2, 3, and 4. So using 2, which he didn't think that he should use, and it supports the assessor's valuation. It actually maybe shows that the assessor's valuation is more than fair. So I think I'm siding with the assessor on this one, 363.
You agree, Brett?
I can support the assessor's valuation.
So I'll make a motion on BOE 183, item number 7 on the agenda to set the fair market value at $363,000.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. The next item on the agenda is BOE number 185. It's item 8 on the agenda. The assessor is at $279,000 even. The property owner is requesting $275,500. The median was $280,286. The mean was $281,707.
This is one when we looked at it, had a brand new remodel. I don't know if you all remember the photos.
Yeah, I remember the garage was nice. I had to note the garage.
Yeah,
was really nice.
Yeah.
But that being said, I tend to lean towards the taxpayer on this one, only because that first comp that the assessor pulled was more than 500 square feet smaller than the subject property. And the valuation of over the 2023 value comes to $262,700, which is less than what the taxpayer is asking, or the property owner is asking. So I'm leaning towards what he's asking for on this one, the $275,500.
That's what my notes indicated too, that the comps really, I think we're leaning towards the taxpayer. So I would move on BOE number 185. We set the fair market value at $275,500.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The next item on the agenda is BOE number 186, which is item 9 on the agenda. The assessor is asking for $266,000 even. The property owner is asking for $260,000, which he took the mean of comps 1, 2, and 6. This had a 2021 remodel. So we got a mean of 266 and a median of 267 on this one. What you think?
Yeah, this one I struggled with a little bit as well. The comps are pretty good. There's, a couple of them, actually 4 of them are more than 200 square feet difference. A couple of them are, 13 to 17, 300 or 400 square feet difference. So that gave me a little bit of pause. Also, the valuation over last year's.
241.
Yeah, it gives me pause because with the 6.7, it comes to 257.3. So it makes me lean a little bit towards the taxpayer, although I don't know that I agreed with the comps that he did.
Used.
Yeah, I reran it using 1, 2, 3, and 6, and came to 265. Although 2, and 3 are still questionable on the square footage. So I don't know, Brett, what did you see? I was thinking about splitting
these are a block away from each other. Both of them recently remodeled. This one is about 200 square feet smaller. So I think when we look at that, if you look at it on a square foot basis, it more closely approaches the taxpayer's 260 than the 266.
Yeah, I was kind of leaning towards splitting the difference between the two. You said that the subject property is smaller? Because I'm showing the subject property was 1758,
And the other one.
and the comps were all smaller.
And the other one was 1962. It's on the same street on Aries.
Okay, I don't have that.
So this one should have been a comp of one. I don't have mine in front of me. But I could support splitting the difference on this at $263,000.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Okay. So I'd like to move on BOE number 186 that we set the fair market value of the property at $263,000.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. The next item on the agenda is item 10, BOE number 187 R81835414950. The assessor is asking for $185,000. The property owner is asking for $174,500. And there were 6 comps, and he didn't like comps 5 and 6.
Yeah, my notes say that neither one of them, the assessor's office or the taxpayer, liked any of the comps. It's their own comps or the other person's.
Right.
174.5 would be a freeze over
the last year.
223. I don't think that's probably appropriate in this case from my perspective. If we just use the average, it's actually above the assessor's valuation. It would be 186,348, and the assessor's valuation was 185. So I feel like in this case, the assessor's valuation is probably fair.
Yeah, I agree. And even the valuation over the 2023 value that was placed comes to 186.3. So the 185 is better than that still. So I'm good with the 185 that the assessor's recommended.
Okay. So that's BOE number 187, agenda item number 10. I move to set the fair market value of this property at $185,000.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The next one, item 11 on the agenda, is BOE number 188. The assessor is asking for $226,500. It was $209,500 the year before and $184,000 the year before. 6 comps, median 235,000, the mean 230. Mr. Hayes was asking for 221,000.
So this one, the comps were all quite a bit smaller in square footage to the subject property, 500 or more. That was part of his argument, although I didn't agree with it fully. Also, the valuation over last year. I would support lowering the assessor's valuation, but not as low as what the taxpayer is asking. I would support lowering it to 224, which is in line with the increase over the 2023 assessed value.
I concur.
So I'll make a motion on BOE 188, item number 11 on the agenda to set the fair market value at $224,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is BOE number 189, which is item 12 on the agenda. This is a 2096 square foot house. The assessor is requesting a valuation setting of $316,000. Mr. Hayes wanted $314,500. He tossed comps 2 and 3. All of the comps were 2023 comps. I don't have a median and mean written down on this one.
The assessor's mean is 341,473. So their valuation is far below their mean.
Yeah, the year before was 288,500, and the year before 267,000.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is the 2023 valuation wasn't that different from the purchase price in 2021. It was only $8,000 more, which I thought was interesting. I was good with the assessor's valuation of 316. I think the comps supported, even though comp 3 had quite a bit more square footage. The average of the two comps that didn't fall within supported it still. So I'm good with what the assessor recommended, the 316.
I'd like to move on agenda item number 12, BOE number 189. We set the market value of this property at $316,000.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next item on the agenda, item 13, BOE number 190. This is Reno and Douglas. This was a batch buy. Mr. Hayes is asking for $213,250. The assessor is at $214,500. 2023 was 165, and 2022 was 165,500. Sorry, 165,500 for the previous 2 years. $1,000 apart.
Not even.
$1,250 apart.
Yeah. 214,500 versus 213,250, right?
Right.
Brett, what did you think about this one?
Well, I felt like the assessor's comps were close. I didn't have any notes on which ones the taxpayer used.
He used his comps.
Oh, that's right. He did use his comps on this.
Yeah, and I looked at his. I think he used his comps.
Pull it up.
I didn't agree with his calculations on it. I couldn't see where he came up with his calculations, quite frankly. The 2023 valuation would support a lower value from the assessor's office, but the assessor's comps look good to me. Yeah, they're further away, but I'm assuming that's because there wasn't anything closer. So I'm good with the assessor's valuation.
So I'm going to move on BOE number 190 that we set the fair market value of this property at $214,500.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, the next item on the agenda is item number 14, BOE number 444. The assessor is requesting a setting. The assessor came down from 134,000 to 123,000. The property owner is asking for 100,000 on the basis of termite damage. This property was bought some years ago. This is 1,118 square feet at 10th and Meridian. The assessor has this as fair. They apparently brought in evidence of the termite damage, which caused the assessor to lower his valuation from 134 down to 123.
Well, I believe the assessor also said that he would support a valuation of 119,000.
That's why I had that 119 here. Yeah.
And then also that the BOE had reduced it to 100,000 last year.
Right.
That's how they got their valuation last year. So the challenge on this one is that the comps were all 2020, 21, and 22. So that was a little bit challenging.
Yeah, the median was 123,407.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I see where he got his original, and he did lower it to the 119 based off the damage, the termite damage. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning. I'm on the fence on this one. I could go either way, but I'm kind of leaning towards doing the valuation over last year, since the BOE heard it last year and agreed to the $100,000 valuation with a 6.7% 6.79 uplift brings it to 106,796. That's what I'm thinking, but I don't know, Brett, if you have any other thoughts?
This one I struggled with as well because of the termite damage, and it still is a primary residence. The comps are difficult in this case. That would be, like a pretty significant increase year over year. Since it was, I don't believe we set it last year. I think they set it by
in the agreement at the assessment.
Now, I had to note that the BOE reduced it last year.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
It might have been one of those 400 we heard then.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
Okay. Then if we BOE set it at that, I could go with 106,750. So I'd like to move on BOE 444 that we set the fair market value of this property at 106,000.
I had 96.
Yeah, I keep telling myself I'm going to try to round these numbers up. So I would do 106,500 is what I would recommend.
So I move that we set the valuation of this property as fair market value at 106,500.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. Yeah, I'm trying to get out of these precise numbers and remember to round up, but I don't always remember to. Sorry.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is BOE item 15, which is BOE number 445, 7801 North May. This is a commercial. It used to be Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
The assessor has this at $230,000. He employed the 10% cap. I think I finally got the guy to say he agreed with the 10% cap. He is asking for $155,000. His problem is he didn't like the comps. Principally Dunkin' Donut, which he said had a drive-through and 3 openings, and they only have the 1 opening, no drive-through. And he said number 3 was as much as it was because it included inventory.
Yep.
And this is a sublease of a lease.
He said comp 2 was a duress purchase because the person
That's
that
right.
bought it needed it.
That's right, for right away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought he did a great job researching the comps, but I'm going to kind of hear what you guys have to say about it, since I haven't done one based off of
Well, they
a balance
agreed
sheet or anything.
on the cap, although he had 11%, 10%. They're virtually the same. I agree with discounting comp 3 because it included inventory. But I think it's worth more than $155,000.
Assessor's valuation was 230.
230, and it's down from a year ago. It was $259,079 the year before, and it had appreciated from the 22, where it was 227,162. So there's 80, 75. There's a $75,000 difference. 45 and 30, 75. If you almost split the difference, I could arrive at a 190.
But I can tell you, he did have an income statement, a 2023 income statement that had a value of $168,420.
Yeah.
Which is more
Than
than
he's asking.
what he's asking. His rent income was $21,600. His net operating was $13,620.
Whatever we set, even if we accept the assessor's valuation, it's going to be less than it was the year before substantially. It was $259 and 23.
Yeah. But if you add the 6.7 increase over that, it brings it to 276,
Yes.
which is quite a bit more than the assessor is asking.
Um,
And the assessor, if I recall, based his valuation off of the income statement. I think the only thing that was in question there was the cap and taxes. I think the taxpayer wanted to exclude the taxes and the assessor included it, or vice versa, if I recall. That was, that,
The assessor excludes it.
Yeah.
Taxpayer included.
right.
what'd you think, Brett?
Well, and that, coming up with using that model, it's $136 a square foot, and the income model is $130 a square foot. So
At 130, what does it make it?
219.7.
That's about where I was.
I'm good with that. 219,
700.
700.
He's getting about it. We're lowering it over what it was the year before. Okay, I can live with the 219.7. Can you, Teresa? Okay.
You said that was 136 a square foot,
130.
130?
The assessor's valuation, he had reduced it to 230, was at 136.
Right, so I'll make a motion on BOE 445. Let's see which item number it is. We must have moved past it already. Oh, yeah, 15, item 15, to set the fair market value at $219,700.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next item is, well, I have, oh, we set that one. Okay, so 193. Item 16 is BOE number 193.
I'm sure we had an agreement on that
Oh,
one
for
already.
253.5?
Yeah.
Okay, and then BOE 194 is item 17 on the agenda. The assessor is at 255,500, and the Mr. Hayes was at 254. And there were 6 comps, and we've got a median and mean of 258,362 and 257,540. And I have 253,560. Why did I put that
Look at
there?
that.
I'm not
I
sure.
don't have that down anywhere. Assessor's valuation at 255.5.
Right.
Mr.
Okay.
Hayes at 254.
And this is a 1,577 square foot house.
I thought on this one, Mr. Hayes used the average of 6 values,
Okay.
and I think that
Yeah, the 253,560 was something that Mr. Hayes said using the average, but he wasn't averaging the adjusted values.
Okay.
He was averaging some other number higher up, because I showed the average was 258.
Okay.
yes. So I thought the assessor's valuation at 255.5 was fair and correct.
I agree.
So I'd like to move on BOE number 194. We set the fair market value of this property at 255,500.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, 1 to the next 3 were set. The next item on the agenda is, are we at 18?
19198.
BOE number 198. The assessor is at 278,500. Mr. Hayes wanted 274,500. This is Reno and Westminster. And I've got 2,011 square feet. Mr. Hayes took the average of 3 comps.
Yeah, and he's correct. The average of the 3 comps is 274.8. But the third comp was a March of 2022 comp, which I was surprised that I guess I'm not surprised that he pointed that out. Had it not worked in his favor, he would have worked that one out. And if I look at just comps 1 and 2, it's more than supports what the what the assessor is asking for. The valuation over last year, though, does support a lower value than last year. But that was another one of those instances where they froze over 2022, so I don't know. I don't really want to use that number. I'm leaning towards the assessor on this one. And maybe the compromise I would make would be maybe the 275. But what do you think, Brett?
Oh, I thought the assessor's valuation was pretty good on this one.
I'm good with that.
I'd like to move on BOE number 198, that we set the fair market value of this property at $278,500.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so BOE number 199 is item 19 on the agenda. And the assessor is at $204,500. This is at I-240 and Sooner. Mr. Hayes used comps 1 and 2 and arrived at a valuation of $199,500. The median on this one was $206,801.
Well, Mr. Hayes only used comps 1 and 2 in his calculation. Comp 6 is closer, and it's closer in value. In fact, comp 6, in my opinion, is probably the best comp on the sheet. And if you averaged all those in, it'd be $207,000, which is even above the assessor's valuation. I can't go with the $199,500 in that case.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't like the 199.5 either, and I'm leaning towards the assessor's valuation. Yeah, there was, some of the comps were a little bit larger than the subject property, but not enough to make that big of a difference. There were a couple that were a little more than a half a mile away, but again, I don't think it made that big of a difference. I even reran it just using comps 1, 3, 4, and 5, and it still supported the assessor's valuation, so I'm good with the assessor's.
I'd like to move on BOE 199, and we set the fair market value of the property at $204,500.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is BOE number 201, which is item 20 on the agenda. The assessor is at an even $209,000. Mr. Hayes wanted $207,500, and he used comps 1, 2, and 4.
Yeah, so again, he used those comps, but he didn't use the adjusted value. He used one of the other values up at the top, maybe the sale value or something.
He uses the adjusted sales price.
Yeah, so looking at just those 3 comps, it comes to 208.2, but I didn't agree with his argument. The only thing that I saw at all slightly questionable on the assessor's comps was comp 6, was a couple hundred square feet smaller, but that's not enough to make a big difference. Although the valuation over last year was a little bit higher, I'm good with the assessor's recommendation to 209.
Well, I would like to say that the taxpayer and the assessor's office are coming closer on these than we've seen in the past. This is only like 0.7% difference in the ask and the assessor's valuation. But on this one, I can support the assessor's valuation. So go ahead.
I'll make a motion on BOE 201, item number 20 on the agenda to set the fair market value at $209,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The next item is BOE number 43, item 21 on the agenda. Okay, this is the Bricktown 1-bedroom condo. The assessor is at $611,000. Last year it was $544,940. The property owner wants a valuation setting of $509,570. This is the 1-bedroom. They didn't like the fact that he had a 1-bedroom and a canal view.
one bathroom short.
and one bathroom short, because he had a bath and a half, and the other ones had 2 bathrooms.
Yeah. The big challenge on this one is that there just weren't, all the other comps were either 2-bedroom or the canal view was
No view.
different, so we just really didn't have a perfect comp to look at. So it's all subject to the assessor's adjustments that he made.
And I did it just a little bit different. I sort of looked at deducting the differences in what a 1 to 2 bedroom is, and then a 2.5 to 1.5 bedroom, and assigning that a value of 0.79 as far as all the valuations. I came up with a number of $574,725. The assessor's valuation of 611 is a 10% increase year over year. And I just ask you maybe to consider that 574,725.
What you have, Teresa?
Well, I came up with, looking at just the increase over last year, I came up to 582. I don't really know how fair last year's was, to be honest with you. It looked like we had another freeze in between 2021 and 2022 because those two values matched.
Yeah, we said it.
Sale price from 2020, which was interesting.
We said it.
We did set this
we
one
said
last
this
year.
one last year.
You did.
Mm-hmm. I can do the percentage increase over last year, the 582. What do you think, Brett?
I could support that. I just can't support either one of the other two
Okay.
Yeah.
asks.
I agree. So I'll make a motion on BOE 43, item number 21 on the agenda to set the fair market value at $582,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the next item, 446, item 22 on the agenda. The assessor went from 419,000 down to 412,000. The property owner is asking for 327,000. All of the comps were out of the counties that he brought up. This is the metal, right?
This is the metal.
This is the metal. Okay, this is the metal one. The mate he built the house himself. The all metal comps used by the assessor brought the valuation to 412,821, which is why the assessor brought it down to 412. This one, gosh, this guy, he thinks where he has benefited from the property not being on, just the land value being what he was assessed. He's benefited for that. By the same token, he's making a substantial jump in his note because his taxes and his insurance will go up. This is a debate over whether we knew or did not know, which we didn't, that the house existed prior to the time we put it on.
I really struggled with this one.
But it's not. I don't know that his real argument is evaluation versus what he thinks his house note is going to be. Although he has an appraisal for the loan closing at $292,000 as of 2021. And he wants to stick with that pretty much as a base value. And he goes to 327.
Yeah. Yeah, and unfortunately, even if we used his argument that, if it was valued at $292,000 in 2021 with the market increases, it would have brought it up, to pretty close to what the assessor is asking. So I couldn't really help him in that. The comps are all mostly 2022. The assessor did pull comps for metal buildings as well to try to, help him out there, but that didn't really help. It lowered it a little bit. I could see that it would bring him down to 401, 402, something like that. The best that I could come up with is looking at the assessor's original comps, because sometimes we look at just 3 comps rather than 6, and in this case, since they're mostly 2022, I could warrant that using comp 1, 3, and 6. It comes to an average of $395,000. And those were the ones that were closest to the property at 1.25 miles away. I mean, there wasn't a significant difference, but, that's the best that I could come up with. I couldn't come up with anything that would help him. I heard his argument, and I felt bad because he did file all the proper permits and all of that, and unfortunately it all seemed to have fallen through the cracks. But I don't think that there's much else that we can do. I don't know.
Right.
Did you find anything, Brett?
And it benefited him because he wasn't getting taxed on it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, this is a difficult one. I know it's a metal building, and I'm sure it's very nice on the inside. He doesn't have a lot of exterior improvements to the property. I mean, it's a gravel road up to it and just sitting there.
and 4 acres.
Right. Which is the $31,000, probably worth more than that now.
Maybe if you put some cattle on it, you could turn it to ag next year.
I don't want to see this go over 400,000, but I don't think I can go much lower than 390 on it. What
395.
I had 395.
395. Okay. I think I can support that. I have 363, 850 here somewhere, but I did not write down how I came to that value, so I can't really speak to that. Okay, I could go with 395. I feel real bad. I just don't think he understands he is paying 2 years of ad valorem taxes completely on this property, except for the property value of the land. He just couldn't get that in his mind. And it's terrible that it's had to jump up like that, but
that's the only thing that I would ask if the assessor's office could somehow reach out to him and just suggest honestly that, if he's doing anything out there that could qualify him for ag. I didn't think about it the other day, but it's possible if he's got 4 acres, he may already qualify for it and just not realize it. So would it hurt to just have that conversation with him, or I don't know if he'll follow up and listen to this meeting, but.
So I think it looked like from the aerials I remember it was just all trees, solid trees around the cutout he made. And
Okay.
And it could go to that lower tree pad.
Yeah.
Just something for them to talk about. Well, I'm not willing to move to separate ag in this at this point because we haven't studied enough.
Yeah.
So BOE
446.
on set the fair market value of this property at $395.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is item number 23, BOE number 203. This is at May and Edmond Road. The assessor is at $338,000 from a median of $348,000 and a mean of $344,000. There's 6. It took 6 Ryan comps. Took 3 of his and 3 of Ryan's, and came up with the 338. And Mr. Hayes is asking for 334. And I've got he used comps 1 and 2 plus 1 and 2. 1 and 2 of his and 1 and 2 of the assessors.
Yeah, he used comps 1 and 2, but he didn't use the adjusted values of comps 1 and 2. So I can't support what the property owner is requesting. I think that the the assessor's comps were fair. They all looked good.
I think the assessor said that he used 6 Ryan comps and came up with a 336,000
That's correct, median.
median. Is there any appetite to go to that figure, or would you stay with the assessor's valuation?
334.
I think this is the one where the assessor gave us his revised comps too. I think I figured out them.
Yeah, 3 plus 3.
Yeah.
3 of his, 3 of theirs. He said the assessor is 338.
Yeah, he did say there was a median of 336. I missed that. Okay.
Using 6 Ryan comps.
Yeah,
He did that to show
but he also
that Mr. Hayes was wrong in asking for 334.
Right.
So the 6 that he thought was better was 3 of theirs and 3 of his,
which got him to 340.
which got him to 340. So I don't have any reason I don't quarrel with the assessor's 338.
338.
Yeah, and the valuation over last year supports the 338 as well.
Okay. I'd like to move on BOE 203 that we set the fair market value of the property at $338,000.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the next item on the agenda puts all the way down to 208, which, well, item 28 on the agenda. BOE number 208, 2259 Peacock Drive. The assessor is asking for a setting of $261,000 even from a median of $267,157 and a mean of $265,678. Mr. Hayes used comps 1, 3, and 4 and is requesting $257,500. Buchanan Covell.
Yeah, I didn't agree with Mr. Hayes. This one really felt to me like he was perhaps cherry picking comps on this one.
Mm-hmm.
There were 3 comps that were a little bit, actually 2 comps that were a little bit higher than the subject property. There was one that was a little bit more. It was 1454 to 1694. So I could see him questioning those, but the assessor's valuation is more than fair with all 6 comps. It's also more than fair just using 3 comps that aren't questionable, which they sometimes do. And the valuation over 2023 it's more than fair as well. So I'm leaning towards going with the assessor's comps at 261 on this one.
The taxpayers' comps are valuation that they want is a 3.5% increase. The assessor's valuation is only a 4.98% increase, so I think it's a fair valuation. Concerning BOE 208, I'd like to set the fair market value. I suggest we set the fair market value at $261,000.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. The next item on the agenda is item number 30, BOE number 211 at 192nd and May. The assessor is requesting a valuation setting of $305,000. Mr. Hayes is at $298,000.
My contention on this is there was an assumption being made that this had been upgraded, and this is in the Grove, I believe, and those houses are 10 and 11 years old, and I just don't see that they are all becoming highly upgraded at that age. So I don't think I could support that contention. I thought the assessor's valuation was fair in this area.
Yeah, I agree. I thought the assessor's comps were good. There was 3 of them that were a little bit further away. But I don't agree with his assertion that, that assuming that it was probably upgraded just because it sold for more money, or just because it was the largest property. That's the reason why it sold for more money. I didn't agree. I thought it was fair. I did rerun it using just comps 3, 4, and 6, which were the ones that were closest to the property. then I get 304.1, but I don't think that that was really necessary. I think that the valuation over last year more than supports the 305,000.
I'd like to move on BOE item number 211 that we set the fair market value of this property at $305,000.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we next move to item 32 on the agenda, BOE
213.
213. The assessor asked for 263,500. I'm sorry.
363.
Huh?
363.
363,500. Last year it had been 349,500. Median of 365,305 and a mean of 367,915. Mr. Hayes was asking for 359,500. He used comps 1, 2, and 4. He did not. He tossed 6 and 3 and 5.
Yeah.
This is at 59th and South County Line Road.
Yeah, I didn't agree with the property owner's assertion to. He tossed 3 and 6 because he said they were too small, indicating the square footage was smaller, but it wasn't that much smaller. It was maybe within 400 square feet. I mean, it was, but not. I didn't think that it made that much of a difference. And then comp 5, he did just because it sold earlier in 2023, and I certainly didn't agree with that one. I thought that was a good comp. So the valuation over last year supports the assessor's valuation. The average supports it as well.
Right. When he mentioned that on 5 selling for earlier in the year for more money, I thought, well, if you put a time value increase on that, it's even going to be even it's even going to be even higher. So that kind of threw out that argument in my mind. So I thought the assessor's valuation was a good and fair valuation.
Agree. I'll make a motion on BOE 213. Item number 32 on the agenda to set the fair market value at $363,500.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the last item on the agenda is BOE, I'm sorry, the next to the last item, item 34 is BOE number 215, 8412 Southwest 49th Circle. The request of the assessor is $228,500. There was a median of 230,330 and a mean of 225,973. Mr. Hayes, using comps 1, 2, and 4, is requesting a valuation setting of 216,500.
So I struggled on this one a little bit because there were some differences in square footage. It wasn't significant, but there was a pretty significant increase over last year. Property was
177.
Yeah, and the property was purchased in 2021 for 175, and doing the percentage
6%.
increase of the market, it brings it to 240. So,
Which is
yeah, I
higher
mean, that
than
would
the
support
assessor.
it, yeah. But the over last year, it brings it to 189. So the assessor's average comes to 226.
Was this a cap pull off from a mass?
Yeah,
That's
because
right.
it looks like there was a freeze from 2022 and 2023, which would explain the lower value. So the 189 is too low. I certainly wouldn't go with that. I'm thinking 226, which is the average of the comps.
Okay, I can go along with that.
So I'll make a motion on BOE 215, item number 34 on the agenda to set the fair market value of $226,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Last item on the agenda, BOE number 216. This is at Coltrane and Coffee Creek. Mr. Hayes wants 464,000. He just ended up using comps 1 and 5. The assessor is at 469,500. The median was 471,704. The mean 482,038.
Well, one of the issues on this, I know Mr. Hayes only used 1 and 5, but all the other comps were more than 500 square feet larger,
Yeah.
which does give you a little bit of a skew. I'm more leaning to the taxpayer is 464 rather than the 469 in this case.
Yeah, well, the 2023 supports it. Let's see what happens if I pull one more comp into the assessors. I'm sorry, into the taxpayer's valuation, which is the next smallest, next one closest to it would be comp 2.
Closest in square footage.
Yeah, so if I throw comp 2 in there as well. Comes to 460.
Well, that's less than
So
what he's asking.
that's less than what he's asking you, and so, yeah, that, did I do that right? Yeah.
Well, again, on a lot of these where we're starting to get with 1% or less differentiation between the assessor and the taxpayer, they're just difficult sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I struggle, I mean, because I don't want to not give any credence to the assessor's adjustments that they make, but
Right.
it is a pretty significant adjustment when you're over 500 square feet like that, so, I don't want to split the difference.
I can do that.
So between
466.5.
Okay,
I'd like to move on BOE 216 that we set the fair market value of this property at $466,500.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, for the record, there were more items on the agenda than we set today, and we were not ignoring them. They had been previously set by agreement of the parties the day that we heard them. The law requires the posting of notice 48 hours ahead of the meeting, and we don't have time to take some of them off. So we're not ignoring items on the agenda that we didn't speak to today. They have been previously set by agreement of the parties.
I do have one question.
Yes.
On BOE number 193,
Which item on the agenda is it?
I don't have the updated one.
Yeah, just a second. BOE number 193.
I think it was said that there was an agreement, but if I'm not mistaken, I think we came down to 253,500, but there was not an agreement. At least I don't show one.
I had an agreement on it.
Which item? I'm not finding it.
BOE 193, it's number, you said 16? If it is, that's fine. I just wanted to make
Oh, is that the one
sure.
we skipped on the agenda?
Item.
No, well, it was skipped because it was brought up that it was an agreement. I just don't have it written down.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Give me
I
the
had that.
BOE number. Give me the BOE number again.
193.
If it is, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure.
It's item number 5 on the 16.
Yeah, I had. Maybe it was just that the assessor said he would agree.
Because I did this one, so I remember this.
I don't
one.
I
have
had
it
it circled though.
I don't have it set. I usually will draw a circle around and say
Yeah.
set, and I did not. So we need to go back to item
193.
193, which was item which on the agenda 16.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, you started out at 255,500, said that you could agree to 253,500, and Mr. Hayes did not move. So,
Okay.
I'll entertain a motion to set item 16 on the agenda, which is BOE number 193 at 253,500.
So moved.
One
All in
second.
favor? Oh, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So, item, BOE number 193 is therefore set at 253,500.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I should bring it up then or
Yeah,
at
no.
the end, so.
Right.
One way or the other, it's covered now.
Yes, I always circle and say set, and I did not circle and set. Okay. Any other items to be discussed before we adjourn?
We've got the, notices all sent out for next week.
I'll do it right after the meeting.
We're doing 15 a day again.
Yes. We have the manufacturer report coming.
Okay,
First thing Monday.
We'll have to approve first.
yes,
That's on the agenda first.
okay. All right, we'll see everybody on Monday. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to stay and ask for comments.
I was super.